Hi, Ray. Welcome. You're muted.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Just reading over your attachments here.
Yep. We got to get the agenda up.
I have that too.
Yeah. Oh, my problem. I need to print my agenda because otherwise it will not show up on my screen. I can't move my Zoom screen and get anything else on there. Now, where is it again? Maybe I can shrink it. Exit full screen. That's what I need to do. Okay. Monica, are you there?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, hi. Have you heard anything from anybody about not coming?
Just Quincy, which we had just gotten the email
She's gonna looking for a new job.
of her resignation.
Okay, and she was gonna be the one to read the Juneteenth proclamation.
Yeah,
So I guess I'll have to.
I think we will want to discuss a little bit about that. I don't know if you've read it, but I think that's gonna need to be reworded a little bit.
Yeah, I did read it, and I have notes for both of those, but most of my notes are on the Juneteenth one.
Yeah,
Did she say why she was resigning?
said in the email, I think it was because of the new baby and the wanting to make sure that, she could give everything the time it deserved.
Okay, well, that's reasonable. Do we have anybody else in the pipeline?
Renee.
Oh, yeah, she's good.
But she had contacted me after the last meeting, and I think I CC'd you on an email too, saying that she should reach out to us before this meeting to let us know if she wanted to come, and she had not.
She didn't want to come?
No, she has not reached out to me. And I told her,
Okay.
make sure you reach out to me before the next meeting. So I had not heard from her in between that email and this meeting.
I went to a Democratic fundraiser last week or the week before, and I met a guy from Ecuador who lives around here and works for Access Health and seemed very interested. And I wrote him a note to follow up, and I haven't heard from him again, but I will follow up with him again and ask him if he would like to consider joining us. Oh, there's Amy. Good. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Jane. Hi, Ray and Monica.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to shut my door to my dining room. One moment. I'm here.
We need one more for a quorum. Um, and then, we do have Ginny coming today
Yeah.
to present. So we're going to talk a little bit about the equity statement, but also sustainable CT in general and some of the equity and inclusion that sustainable CT is a part of and doing. So she's got a pretty good agenda for us. So,
Sabrina, good.
but I will be on and off of camera just so I can finish dinner. So
Okay. I haven't heard from Barbara. Usually she says when she's not coming, and she plays in the Hartford Symphony, which sometimes, oh, good, there's Janine, great, which sometimes plays on the nights we meet, but so I don't know if she's coming or not. Hi, Janine, nice to see you.
Barbara did accept the meeting invitation, but I don't know that that means she's coming.
Yeah. Well, is this a quorum with Sabrina? Wonderful. Let's call a meeting to order. Hi, Sabrina. Nice to see you.
Hi, Jane. Good to see you too.
Okay, this is exciting to have a whole quorum. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. All right, now, Monica, let me make sure that I do this correctly. We are going to have Ginny speak before we do the rest of the agenda. Is that correct?
Yep, so we'll do the approval of minutes. I'm doing the roll call as people show up.
Okay,
Because I can see everybody here. And then we can have Ginny speak right after we approve the minutes. So although I don't think I had sent them out in the most recent email, I sent them out in the email last week.
right.
Okay.
Can we, so you've got the roll call, can we just call for somebody move for the acceptance of the minutes of the last two meetings when we didn't have a quorum? Just do it.
I move to accept both of those
Amy
agendas.
moves. Anybody second?
I second.
Esme seconds. Thank you, Esme. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay? Okay, good. Moving right along. We have a special speaker this evening, Virginia Walton, who is going to talk to us. I have no mind. Oh, Derek, here comes Derek. I'm so glad to see him. Virginia, why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody and tell us what you're going to tell us about, and then we will be happy to listen, ask questions, and figure out what we're supposed to do to support you.
Sure. So I'm Jenny Walton, and I just came from a sustainability committee meeting. I am the staff person for that committee. And the sustainability committee has been the group behind the sustainable CT applications, which the town has done two. We started in 2019 and we applied for silver certification, which at the time was the highest certification level, and we were awarded that. And then last year we reapplied again. So every 3 years is the pattern. The certification lasts for 3 years. So we reapplied again in 2022 for silver, again the highest level, and got it. And so in 2025, there's now a new certification level, and it's gold. And it's a much bigger ask. And so the town manager, town council has, or mayor has nodded that, yes, we want the town to apply for gold certification. So in order to achieve that, we need to we, meaning the collective we, boards, committees, staff people, we need to be kind of pointed in that direction now. So for any projects that we're working on, is there anything in those projects that really ties in with the sustainable CT action? So how many of you, just raise your hand, how many of you are familiar with sustainable CT? A little bit. Okay. Okay. Derek, you're familiar with it. So sustainable CT is intended for municipalities to look at how they do business in a sustainable way. And the definition of sustainable is very broad. And Monica, can I share my screen? Okay. All right. Okay. So this is this, can everybody see this?
Mhm.
Yep.
Sustainable CT. Okay. So these actions are not, the purpose of doing these actions is not to get an award or certification, but rather to help municipalities be thinking in lines of these various broad sustainable categories. And the reason that I'm here this evening is for the first category, which inclusive and equitable communities. But there's also sustainable communities also have thriving economies. So if you have a town where most of the business, it comes and goes within 3 years, that may not necessarily be a thriving local economy. It's also taking care of your land and natural resources and supporting ecosystems. Some of these things you might think of sustainability, but you might not think of a sustainable community that has a robust arts community. I mean, but that is part of a sustainable community. Planning is another big piece of it. Like, how are we planning our communities? Transportation choices. Are we building infrastructure that supports energy efficiency and uses renewable energy? Do we have inclusive engagement in education? How are we handling materials? Are we recycling? Are we composting? Are we focused on waste prevention? Are we a healthy community? Do we have diverse housing? Are we preventing homelessness? So it's really, really broad, the definition of sustainability. And in order to, and then the last one is really just kind of a grab bag of this. We're doing something that isn't in these categories, but it's innovative and it really applies to our sustainable community. So this evening, I'm going to speak to inclusive and equitable communities and what's required for gold certification. In order to be certified gold, we have to do 4 actions that are equitable. So what I mean by that is that they are applying an equity toolkit. And can you see this? Submission requirements for equitable, okay, actions. Okay. So this is a summary of the equity toolkit. It's in town government, at least my experience with town government, is we tend to, as staff people, decide, in our realm, our role, what the community needs and how we go about doing it. Well, with equity, it's really about looking at who does live in your community. What are the various populations within your community, age ranges, ethnicity, culture. And then it's connecting with the community. seeing where the needs are. What are some of the things that we could co-create and engage in together, and then taking action on that. So that's a little bit different as to how government generally works. I mean, it's the optimal way to work, but it's not necessarily how we do things. So it's really a reframing of process, and we need to, in order to be certified gold, we need to be considering this process for 4 different separate actions. So an example of that is for the 2022 application, we focused on the farm to family program that is being done through Human Services. So it's taking food from CSAs and helping moderate low-income families afford a share of a CSA. Do you know what I mean by a CSA? It's community supported agriculture. So you buy shares of that farm and you get produce from it. It can be a little bit expensive because it's an upfront cost. And the value of that is that the farmer is getting the money up front when they need to buy seed, compost, equipment for farming that year. So it's really helpful for farmers. It can be a big cost for a family that is stretched thin as it is. So that was one of the equity actions for the 2022 application. And it was using the process of receiving feedback from Human Services community, hearing that people were asking for fresh food. How could they get it? So this was what emerged from that dialogue. So it can be a diverse amount of actions. It's not necessarily one type of action that applies to the equity toolkit. But my thought is, and I wanted to run it by the I want to say human resource, but it's not, Human Rights Commission. Is this something that you might be engaged in that you'd want to help to foster to happen within the town? Or maybe you are already involved in a project using this process that could be applied to an equity action. So that is one of the things that we could use help with, because it's a fairly big ask, just because it's asking for us to do things differently in process.
Ginny, can I ask you a question? This is Jane. Where do you get your data for town demographics? What are the sources you're using?
It is Connecticut. Yeah. It's one of the state published demographics. I mean, I could plow through my documents.
I can find it.
To see it's in here. I can probably, let me see if I can go back and find it. The toolkit. Okay, submit.
Well, I'll find it. You don't need to worry about it. I just wanted to know what the source was, because we have some data from a couple of years ago, but it's a very small survey and has no scientific validity. It's just informative. And it seems to me we need more accurate and larger scope data than what we have right now, and we need to get it someplace.
Yeah, they in the toolkit, they specify where you're getting that information
Oh,
from.
good, okay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I have information saved on it from the sustainable applications. I can look it up real quick. Let's see. So the housing data profile, I'm just looking, is from the Partnership for Strong Communities. So that's one of them. And then let's see. And then there's this from, so it's from the state of Connecticut. It's the, can you see that? You probably don't see that document. It's from Connecticut Data Collaboration.
Okay, that's what I need.
Yeah, Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
sure.
I cannot speak for this entire commission, but I will say that the club that is headed by Amy, that I am the head of public events for this year, Deliberation Discourse at EO Smith, had a public forum kind of based completely around this, that we were going to be hosting this Friday, but we had to cancel it. But really, it's not being canceled, it's being postponed till next year. So I am a senior right now, but the newly elected president, Mackenzie, I'm sure would absolutely love to work with you on this.
Okay, Esme, can you put Mackenzie in touch with me so I can talk to her and find out what you guys found out? And why'd you have to cancel?
Low registration.
Okay, well, when the sun comes out and everybody's happy, they don't want to go inside and have meetings, but if you will ask Mackenzie to get in touch with me or send me her email, I will talk to her because I know there's data locally and I'd like to know what it is. I know you have a lot of good information.
Perfect. I will.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, Jenny, and to piggyback on what Esme said and to jump in here, Jane, the students, exactly what Esme said, they had planned to have a public forum about, they were calling it Reinventing Region 19. And they were going to be looking at issues of sustainability in terms of, of housing, the green resources that we have, but they were looking for equity, for access, all of these different things. And if we could partner, Ginny, I'm sure that the kids coming up would be really interested. People were heartbroken that we had to cancel because we had low attendance, but that might be a great way to partner with us and bring in the public again. And as you're saying, rethinking, how are we examining, do we have a rich arts cultural, are the seniors able to get transportation places? When we had one of our most recent unexpected evacuations, the most recent bomb threat at EO, we discovered that some of the sidewalks weren't easily traveled for some of our students in wheelchairs. So, we too were trying to approach this in a really multifaceted way. So we will definitely put Mackenzie in touch with Jane, but if we may also do that with you, Ginny, that would be great, because perhaps working together, we could get that kind of turnout so that, people are talking and the Mansfield residents are aware that this is going on. Because I'm sure that's also one of the things, right? You're doing this great work. It's important that town residents know what's happening. And as you said, have a voice in what we're exploring and how we're prioritizing things. I don't know if you've had a chance to attend any of our events. Our kids are so well trained and always looking for ways to be civically engaged. So I'm going to stop there, but thank you, Esme, for putting that shout out for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Amy, I think this could be a three-way collaboration, because one of the things that we need, the HRC needs, is young people.
Definitely.
So if we could all work together, because when we get down to community conversations on the agenda, this is what that is.
Exactly.
So let's see how we can pull everything together that we have in support of asking these questions from the people who know what they want us to know.
Perfect. And
Let's
we
do
just got
that.
a little bit more grant money to be able to fund something like this, so we can actually have a large crowd and actually put out some food for people that,
Oh,
you know,
wonderful.
some
Let's kind of
munchies.
let's put that on the agenda for next September maybe and see if we can get there.
Sure.
Okay. I love it.
So, okay, I guess what I'll do is move on to the other actions that are required for gold certification, which are participation equity training, which I'm guessing that probably most of you have participated in. It's specific as to there are certain people within town governance that need to participate, and it's really at the leadership level, at minimum, as well as anybody else within the town, committee members or other staff members. And then there's the develop and adopt an equity statement. So I'm just going to open that up because let me just tell you, there's what they're asking you to do. Did I bypass it? I might have. And anybody can go to sustainablect.org and look this up. Okay, so here's what what is being asked. To develop and adopt and publicly share a statement on your community's shared vision of equity. And then it's saying, these are the concepts you must follow. So I think it's pretty clear as to what they're looking for you to do. So that's something I don't think the town has yet adopted. Am I correct in saying that?
I think so, yeah.
Has anybody been given the responsibility to try?
For the equity statement,
Yeah,
it was something Glenn had worked on a little bit before he left. and
okay,
then-
because I will be happy to kind of take the lead on that. If you can tell me who else ought to be involved so that it can be a joint effort.
I think what it would be, or what we might want to do, is talk with Peter a little bit, because I know the public schools, Peter Dart.
Oh, that's right. We
schools had
discussed
just
this before.
done that. They just adopted, I think, a equity statement. So maybe making sure there's no conflict and anything, or not conflict, but that it doesn't, there's nothing that the language might not be cohesive. But other than that, I think as long as it adheres to what Sustainable CT wants, then we should be okay.
Okay, I will get in touch with Peter and try to move that forward.
Okay. So that was it that what I wanted to speak to. At some point, probably the Sustainability Committee will host a meeting of other committees. We did this in 2022, it was virtual. In 2019, we also did it. Those were in person, but we'll probably be inviting other commissions, committees, boards to attend, and staff people as well to just drill into here's this application, the certification we would like to achieve, and what are your committees working on, what is staff working on that could blend with the actions that are in Sustainable CT. So Monica I'll keep Monica posted on that, and hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later.
Great.
So thank you.
I'm really beginning to appreciate the value of all this collaboration, because all of this seems so overwhelming when you have to do it by yourself. But if we have, oh, hi, Barbara. Nice to see you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, have a good night.
And Ginny, just if I may, before you leave, and thank you so much for being here this evening. I put in the link. The registration form is closed, but you can take a peek when you'd like. And that will show you the different areas that the kids were hoping to discuss. And looking at that drop-down document that you gave us, I do think, I just wanted to reiterate, I think there's a great possibility and great potential for HRC deliberation discourse with the high school kids, you all, for us to be doing some neat work together. So thank you for coming this evening.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. That would be a great collaboration. Yeah. All right. Good night.
You take care. Thanks for coming. I mean, the biggest thing we lack is enough people to get things done. So this sounds very exciting because there's a lot of people involved and we can kind of share. And that's very good. And it doesn't overwhelm anybody. Monica, do you want to talk about Quincy, or should we leave that to the end?
I mean, up to you. We did have a I think we could probably talk about it now, I guess. We did have a resignation tonight, so we are down one more member. Quincy left. I think everybody saw that, actually. I think she responded to all of us, so. Yeah, it is a alternate position. So if we do have anyone who's interested, I do think Renee still has an application in, so I will talk with Sarah Ann, who's our town clerk, to see if we can, if she is the next person. We'll come to a few more meetings, see if she's still interested. But otherwise, we have our feelers on the ground to see if other people would like to come.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right
Jane,
along.
before we do this, just because I feel like it would be weird to bring it up later, I
Okay.
also have to speak for myself because I will be away all summer long and then I will be going to college. And so
Where are you going?
I'm going to Smith.
Nice.
Congrats.
Thank you. So unfortunately, this will have to be my last meeting. I don't want to throw Mackenzie's name in the ring for her. However, she would do very well in a spot similar to mine. So if it's all right with you all and you will trust my judgment, I would love to bring it up to her to see if she would be interested in joining.
And she's a junior, so she'll be here for 2 years, like much like you were. Well, you came in late. Felicia and Derek were here for 2.
I'm not. Hi guys, I just showed up. Sorry I was late. I'm not an official position, so there's nothing to resign, but I think this will also be my last meeting.
Okay, do we have a position? Oh, you're an intern, right? Or what?
Yeah, I don't
Student volunteer.
really count for any. I'm just considered a volunteer.
Keep an eye on that. It can destroy you. Do we have a way for finding more volunteers from EO?
Oh, we do.
Oh, good. Okay. Not that we won't miss you. We will miss you, but we need somebody else to do that kind of work. Thank you, Felicia.
Real quick though, as we're on membership, I just want to make sure everyone knows the process here too. So for someone who is formally resigning, so for Esme, I do need a letter of resignation, so I will need an email just saying, you know, simple, like kind of like what Quincy sent. And then if you do have someone who is looking to apply, they do have to apply just like you did. I can also send you that information if you'd like to forward it around. Amy, I'll also send it to you too if you have other people that you have in mind. And then we can definitely get the ball rolling. If people have questions too, they can always reach out to me directly. I think you all have my email, so that's also.
Thank you, Monica.
So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, it's the end of the year. There are always turnovers and it's always sad to see people go. And I want to thank both Esme and Felicia for all the volunteer and mandated work you've done, because you've been tremendous. And I have one question. Have you put together the suggestion boxes yet?
Margaret has the resources, so no. However, I'm still around for June, so I will reach out to Margaret and see if we can try to do that as a last.
That would be really good. I met with a bunch of people from the Commission on Aging the other day, which I will get around to. They have a lot to say, and we need to make it easy for them to say it. So if you could get to Margaret, and she's not here tonight, and she wanted to be, so obviously she's very busy, but I'd appreciate that. Okay. Member reports. What has everybody been doing briefly? Anything?
All right, well, we were working really hard. Oh, Felicia, let you go. You go first, Felicia, go first.
UConn is hosting a human rights film festival this upcoming weekend. I have more information that I can probably send out in an email, but I think it's like it's a combination with digital media and design and the Dodd Center. So they're showing 5 films about various topics. I think the first one is about indigenous cultures in Latin America, and then there's also one about poverty in Boston. It's a wider range of topics, but I think it's over the course of 3 days. So if you can't make it one day, they're also showing films on other days. And the numbers are low right now. So please sign up. I can send the link in the chat with more information.
That would be great. Thank you, Amy.
So the DD group, as you heard, we had hoped to have a forum this week on reinventing Region 19 and looking at sustainability and access issues and inclusion, all of these other ideas. So we will be tabling that to the fall. On a brighter note, we have an in-school function that we are doing in March. Was it March or February, guys, that they did Absolutely Completely Normal, the play, when they had the 1X? Was that?
I think it was March.
I think it was March. So the students, there was one group of students that did a play called Absolutely Completely Normal, which was a series of vignettes about LGBTQ youth. And DD, the GSA, and this one theater production are gathering together on Monday. The kids are doing 2 20-minute performances. And then the deliberation discourse students are going to be taking kids back to classrooms to lead a discussion on LGBTQIA+ issues, and then issues around how do you have a voice in terms of if you see somebody being spoken ill of, how do you stand up? If you do see something and you don't know where to report it, this is where you report it, and those kinds of things. So that's exciting work that's being done. And we just continue to be doing our stuff. We have all of our reports should be done soon, at which point I will share them with this committee as well. So you guys will be able to all see the different reports. And what I've done is created links to previous reports, and that way everybody will have access to things that have come up in the community since we've started. So that'll be exciting to have too. And that pretty much sums up what we've been doing, or I've been doing with the kids. So there we go. Oh, we're doing Pride. GSA is getting ready for Pride, and we will be at the flag raising. And then in June, we are doing a talk at the Unitarian Church. Then I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, I was expecting Katie to be here because we've got the Pride resolution to vote on. So I'm glad you're doing that. And I thought she was going to be here because she said she'd present this to the town council. So we have to get both of these resolutions to the town council at their next meeting. Hers is very good and very complete. The one on Juneteenth needs a little fixing up. But so I don't know why she's not here tonight, because I thought she was coming. But yeah, we're going to need to do more talking. Pride has been very active and continues to be very active. So that's wonderful. Anybody else doing anything? Okay, I met with the people on the Commission on Aging at the Senior Center the other day, and I thought I was going to have to make a speech about what the Human Rights Commission was, and in fact, instead I got informed about everything that seniors in this town need in no uncertain terms. So I have, and it's all about affordable housing. Because what I found out was there's only one, well, this is down further. I will leave it to the end and I'll tell you later. Anyway, they're mad. And I said, well, if you're that mad, you got to start making noise. So this morning I was on the phone with May Flexer's assistant, and I wrote memos to Greg Haddad and the other guy whose name I don't remember yet, about we need to raise this in the public awareness because we have people moving out of town, and that's not right because they can't afford to live here. So that's another issue that is getting hopped up, and it's very complicated and it's going to take years. But the first thing to do is to make sure people know it's an issue. So that's where I'm starting with that. Okay, anybody else doing anything at the moment?
Jane,
Yeah.
when I went to speak to them at the Senior Center, that's exactly what they told me too. That was, I mean, it's been such a long time since I've been in a meeting, I'm sorry, but that was the number one concern, was affordable housing. They said, if they're very low income, there's all kinds of options. And of course, if they're very wealthy, but it's the people in the middle of that are having problems. So I just wanted to say, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what-
and I would like to help them. And I told them this is a political issue. And I talked to, oh God, I'm losing names. The woman who's the head of the Long-Term Planning Committee on Housing, Sheila Amder. And I said, explain this problem to me so that I am not running around ignorant while I start talking, which is a thing that I am in danger of doing and should not do. So she did. And the last thing she said to me was, there are no easy answers to this because it involves federal money and state money. And May Flexer's assistant said to me, oh, but you got to get the town to give money. And the amounts of money we're talking about, this town, no town has nothing, no town this small has the millions of dollars that are involved with this. But I mean, this really needs people to stand up and advocate at all levels of government. And it's going to take a couple of years just to get anybody to pay attention. And I'm not sure that the Commission on Aging quite gets that making noise is the first step. They love to come and complain, but I don't know if they're willing to go out and complain in public. So I'm just kind of picking up on that and see how far I can get with them, because I think it's serious. Because the landlords are renting to students because they can get 5 times as much rent when they rent to students as when they rent to seniors. That's what it just comes down to. So
Is there any
making noise.
Is there any option for affordable housing with this new development that's going up at Four Corners?
Oh, yeah, there's a mandated percentage of affordable housing, and everything that's defined as affordable housing is done by formula. And the first formula is how much money do you make? And there's 2 levels of affordable housing, really poor and moderately making it, which has official names, which I don't remember. Really poor people are people who are in low-paying jobs, and moderately making it are people like assistant professors, people that are just starting out on their career, and they can't afford much, but they can afford something. So there's a 40%. You either make 80% of the average income around here, or you make 40%. And there are designated numbers or percentages of apartments that have to be made available to people in those categories. That's the good news. The bad news is that the builders can buy their way out of having to do that.
That's what they did. Yeah.
And paying into the endowment that they're raising to build more buildings. It sounds a little dirty to me, but who knows? It's so complicated. It makes my eyes cross when I think about it.
Isn't that what happened in Storrs Center with the affordable housing that was supposed to go in there?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because it's under the same regulations.
Yeah.
But I think the real issue for the seniors, and certainly for me, is the people who are making these decisions are not transparent. They are not telling anybody what they're doing. And all of a sudden things change and you're very surprised. So I think the one thing we can do with our limited time and limited people is to start calling attention to this and asking questions at town council. I'm even thinking about going to a town council meeting just as a member of the public and with a whole list of questions.
Mhm.
And they won't answer me, but I will be there and I will be on tape and I will say, these are the issues that I understand are important to seniors with housing in this community. I would like the town council to please raise these issues in your conversations. And that's all I need to do for the moment. And then we'll keep pushing. And once I get all the information from the people who said they give it to me, I'm going to start writing letters to the editor, and I'm good at that stuff. So.
I wish there was something we could do as the Human Rights Commission as far as that goes.
Good, you can all come, every single person can come to the town council and be a member of the interested public and take your 3 minutes and say what you have to say. And if we all say the same thing, that's fine. Bring your friends. I've seen other groups do this. You go, you get on the agenda, you write out your remarks, which is just a bunch of bullet points. And then you sit down and you introduce yourself, say where you live, and then you say your thing and they say, thank you. They don't engage with you, but you're on the record.
But is there anything we can do as a commission? To the
Yeah, but we're
town?
not there yet. I think there is.
Okay,
I think we can do the same thing as a commission. What I want to do is request time on the agenda from us and the Commission on Aging together to talk, talk to them about this in an official capacity. But at the moment, I don't know enough to do that.
okay.
But I mean, so we're now talking, everything we're doing, we're talking about next fall, but I'm going to do it. Because it is not fair for people who've lived here for the most of their adult lives not to be able to afford to live here.
Mhm.
It's not that snooty a place. People should be able, and the other group, of course, is the young people who are not or the people who are not making a lot of money and have kids and want to live in Mansfield because we have good schools, and they ought to be able to do that. And we have, well, Amy knows, and anybody who's worked, Janine knows, we got kids living in cars so that parents can keep them in the local schools.
Mhm.
That is not right. But there's a limit to how much of that I can get into, but I know that that's going on. So yeah, we can do something, but we need to decide we're going to do it. And then we need to make a lot of noise without violating anybody's privacy, which is part of the issue. Okay. Is anybody else doing anything, writing letters, going to events? Anything else, aware of issues that are going on around? And let me stop parenthetically and welcome Ray, who is a new member who has decided, you went through the town government training thing, Ray, I think, and you decided.
Yep.
And you're going to get involved. So we need you to get involved. And would you, obviously, this is a fairly informal group. So anytime you have anything to say, just say it.
I understand.
Okay? We don't need you to raise your hand. We don't need to follow any rules of order unless we're going to vote on things. So please do. Ray, do you want to tell everybody a little about yourself, just briefly? Like why you're interested in this subject?
Let's see. I worked for the government for 38 years. I was an adjudicator, administrative judge. So I actually did a lot of housing cases with affordable housing. So I have a little understanding about how all that program works.
All right, you just got yourself more work.
Yeah, I was gonna email, I have to see about that, more on the federal level at least, but just did a lot of civil rights work and compliance reviews all over the country, mostly in the South a lot of times. Just seeing how towns and cities and governments were complying with federal laws and regulations, and this was just the right fit for me as far as human rights and equity. Again, I was the part of law that I was working in. I had the pleasure and the ability to do equity decisions, which very few other people in the world have the authority to do. So I have a lot of understanding of what equity means as opposed to legal means. So I would be interested. The affordable housing thing interests me because I know a lot of the ins and outs of that. To kind of I need to get back on information on where the money's coming from. It's always a problem. You got to get builders to do it, first of all, and you got to get money. Usually affordable housing ends up being subsidized rents. What it really
Right.
comes down to. And that's a very difficult thing. It's income driven. It's based on 99% of the time it's based on statistical census data and IRS data and county averages and town averages and local averages, and it's pretty black and white. You make 40% of the average income, low income person, if HUD has. I was USDA, so I don't know about HUD's very similar, but you gotta make so much and you're eligible. You make a dime over and you're gone. You don't get it. I mean, it's just. it's a
Derek, this
touch-
sounds like your kind of stuff. You are really good at this. So we're gonna
Yeah.
rope you. Ray, this is Derek. Derek is in high school and he is an excellent statistician and he is very good at gathering data.
Good.
So I think you two would make a wonderful team and we can talk more about that. Derek, you are not sneaking around here. We need you.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, and then I need you to be able to communicate with Ray, so we'll make sure you get emails. and
Yeah, we
everything.
have our emails, yep.
Great, okay, wonderful. Okay, now Felicia, do you want to, or Esme rather, do you want to say anything about the affordable housing people, about the housing people that I haven't already said? Do you have more stuff?
You mentioned the bulk of it, but the money that the town council had approved, the housing trust, approximately $1.7 million. I was not able to attend the meeting, but I did look over the minutes and it seems that they are still referencing everything. But like you said, Jane, it's all based on a system and they have to categorize what is and is not affordable housing and who gets that money and how much. It's actually a lot like college. College.
Who
when I
gets
think about it.
financial aid and who doesn't get financial aid?
Yes, a lot like that, but they have a system. So right now there is $1.7 million in that trust and they are still deciding and cross-referencing everything on what to do with that. So
Yeah, and can you tell us what the trust is?
this was money that the town recognized was needed to, I think it's town funding. I don't really know how that works, but the town recognized that it needed a certain amount of money for affordable housing. And I think this is,
To subsidize rent.
yes.
Okay. So that's what they're doing. They're working very hard. And as far as Sheila says, raising money is the biggest problem they have right now. And they're working on it. And some of it comes from the builders and I don't know where and some of it comes from the town. Some of it comes from ARPA funds. And I don't know who else, but when you move around that kind of money, people are bound to want to quid pro quo, and I don't trust any of it, but that's just my personal opinion. So anyway, that's going along. It just is glacially slow. And I'm very glad my mortgage is paid off. That's because I always refer to senior citizens as they, and then I suddenly realize I'm one of them. So I'm still kind of adjusting to that status. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the Pride Month and Pride Proclamation. Now, have you all seen the Pride Proclamation?
Mhm.
It was in the attachment. What we need to do officially is to vote that we want to bring this proclamation to the town council. And I'm not sure if Katie is planning on presenting it or if I'm going to present it, but somebody's going to present it to the town council. Okay, Monica, what?
So this will most likely be on the consent agenda,
Okay,
which
good.
will probably mean that nobody actually has to present it.
Oh, good.
But someone might want to be there if there are any questions. It usually passes unanimously without anybody. No,
When is the town council meeting that it's going to happen at?
it is not next Monday, but the Monday after. I can grab, hold on.
Okay, that is the 29th.
I believe so. That sounds right.
That sounds.
No,
like Memorial
29th
Day.
is Memorial Day, so it's probably the 30th.
Okay, I will double check that. I will go.
I have it actually as the 22nd. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
20, does that make sense?
Yeah, because today we're still on the 10th, so 2 weeks from now is the 22nd.
Yeah, that's, yep, yeah, 22nd.
Okay, I will consent agenda or not, I will be in touch with you and I will go.
Okay.
So I need a motion to forward the Pride Proclamation to the town council for adoption by the town.
Are we
Monica.
keeping it the same? Because if you had changes or additions to it, it would have to
Okay.
happen.
Thank you.
Before.
And it's a PDF, so you can't type them in, which is very frustrating. Or
It
maybe the
shouldn't be.
Juneteenth one is a PDF.
Juneteenth one is a PDF, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to fix
Pride
it.
Month one should be just fine. I think you had said before that we had additions, but I thought they had been made because Katie sent me the one.
Yeah, I think this is Katie's current version. This is her best shot. So has anybody come up with anything else they want in the Pride proclamation?
It looks good to me.
I'll tell you something, that thing has got so much in it. I wondered if we were diluting the message.
That's a good point.
And and I don't feel like we ought to change it because it's their proclamation. But that line about love is love is love is love, that does not need to be in a town proclamation. I don't think that's kind of like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It is derivative of all of the official statements. And I was a little distressed by it, but like I said, it's their proclamation. If that's how they want to do it, that's fine with me. Does anybody have any other opinions about this? Not that I don't
think you're
believe in
thinking
love. I
about
believe in love. What?
Right. No, I think I understand what you're saying. I think too, the reason she put it in though, or this is what my understanding is that came out of the song that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote after the nightclub shooting, and now the name of the nightclub is
Oh, yeah. What in
So I
Florida?
think that was just a nod to like a tragedy that happened, and somebody's response to it was this, like, this has no place and this is what we need to replace. So I think that's why that's in there.
Okay, well, that's helpful. But are there any objections to just forwarding this to the town council as is? Okay, can I have a motion to do that then, please,
I'll make a motion.
Barbara?
Yeah,
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina. Very good. Keep practicing. You're going to get better at this. This is good. Okay, that's the one. Now, I want to move, Monica, is it okay if I move to the Juneteenth proclamation and then go back? Or do I have to follow this exactly?
You would have to, we'd have to move that we talk about it now. So we need a motion, a second, and vote. That's it.
Okay, will somebody please move that we discuss the Juneteenth proclamation now?
I'll move to do that.
Barbara moves. Janine, would you second that, please? Janine seconds.
Yeah,
Okay,
I second it.
because two proclamations together, I can understand better. I read the Juneteenth proclamation and it doesn't have an ending. And it needs an ending that is comparable to the one at the end of the Pride thing, which remands it to Tony Moran as the mayor to proclaim. And so I think we just need to transfer. This is an editing thing and I couldn't edit it because it was a PDF. So Monica, what do I need to do to?
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Who seconded Juneteenth? I'm sorry, Janine.
Janine?
It does have an ending, doesn't it? It says,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, if it does, then I haven't seen it. It just stopped where I was looking.
oh, it just says that Mansfield Human Rights Commission recommends that the town council authorize Mayor Moran to issue the attached proclamation. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about, but I didn't see it. It must be on the next page and I didn't.
It's
scroll.
in there. It's there.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah, the proclamation, I think the only question I had is that it says that the town of Mansfield will direct that something about like to recognize that it's a day, which the town already does. We have it off. It's a day that the schools recognize. We all recognize it. So I'm wondering if we need to actually take that line out, or if we keep it in there because we want to make sure that it continues, and maybe rewording it there.
I was going to say, if you reword it, instead of saying recognize, just say supports.
Yeah. I don't know where I saw that though.
Are you going to do this or do I need to do this? The fixing.
Well, if usually Glenn would have done this and then I would have double checked it and then we would have sent it to the council like
Okay.
collaboratively. So if you want to, what I'll do is I'll find it in the I do have it somewhere in Word. I don't know where in Word. So I will find the Word version. I'll
Okay,
send that
thank
to
you.
you, and then we will collaboratively do that as long as people are okay with it and knowing the I think how we've done it in the past is the motion would be something like move that pending the changes of discussed in the meeting, Jane will present it to the town council as such, something like that.
That's fine. I have-
So that would be there would have to be like a real motion on that, but as long as we have something along those lines, it should be okay. If there are any other things that do need to be changed, though, we will have to make sure those get changed.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, I have
also-
one other thing I want to add. There is a place that says there are Juneteenth celebrations in Hartford and Manchester, and I want to add Hebron. Because Hebron is having a really big Juneteenth celebration, and I want people to know about it.
Where do we see that? We could also put, I mean, I think there are a lot of other towns we could put that, you know, since there are other towns in the state that participate in. Instead of naming specific towns.
That is, I think it's on the first page, the second paragraph. And, I would also add that at the end of the background section, it says that the Human Rights Commission is also leading a coalition seeking to erect a mural in town to honor the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, which we already did. So I think
Yeah,
we need to edit that part out again.
there's a good amount here. Okay.
Okay, I have a very specific reason for wanting Hebron in there.
Hmm.
Because they are doing some great work, and people are likely to go to Hebron before they're going to drive all the way to Hartford. And they've got a day-long celebration with music and art and dancing and food. And and there's a group in Hebron that is a non-governmental group that's doing some wonderful stuff. And I have already started building connections with them, and I want people to know that that's going on. So that's why I want to put it in. They've got some wonderful stuff happening. Okay, so what do we need to do with this proclamation? Monica's going to edit it, and she and I together will fix it. And so what we need is a motion from somebody to say, we endorse the Juneteenth proclamation pending revision by Monica and Jane.
I can make that motion.
Okay, Barbara just made the motion. Will somebody second the motion, please?
I'll second.
Esme will second the motion. So Monica and I will go back and forth, and we will revise it, and then we will submit that to the town council. Is that okay, Monica?
Yeah, that should be just fine. I'll double check with the town clerk to make sure that there's nothing that she thinks would be wrong with that. If there is, then we might have to hold a special meeting to vote on just that.
Okay.
And if so, 5 minutes, guys, you know. So as long as everyone can get together for 5 minutes to vote on the Juneteenth proclamation.
Okay.
Quorum.
This next piece is just an announcement. We had a really nice pair of posters last year that we put around town explaining what Juneteenth was and containing artwork from the middle school kids and the Witness Stone Project. And so, pending the lack of a lot of people to work on it, I just revised the text, took the Witness Stone piece out. We're going to make the text bigger, and we will be reprinting those, and we are sharing them with the people in Hebron so they can hang them at their cultural festival, and we'll put them all over town, and we will also have them on our website so that people know what Juneteenth is, because I'm sure there are many people who don't have any idea. So that's just for your information, but that is being revised and updated and will be printed and publicized, and Margaret is going to do that. Okay, we got one more thing.
Jane?
Yeah.
I did send an email out to Larry Barlow at MMS. And he responded back that he will forward the email to the art teacher, I believe, Mr. Rock. And he will see what his students can do in regards to like posters. I sent 2 emails to Lauren Rodriguez and the 2 art teachers, and then I sent the second one back out to Lauren Rodriguez. And she said that she would, try to make contact with the art teachers in regards to, posters and such. And I explained that it doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be a big project, doesn't have to be every single kid, you know, whoever that can dedicate something in regards to Juneteenth. They said that they would get back with me. Like I said, I've sent 2 emails. I'm not gonna hold my breath in regards to the elementary schools. You know, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I know they, you know, completed their moving, and now they are also in the process of doing their testing, SBAC. Yeah, it was a move, get in, get situated, and now testing is in.
Not a lot of learning going on.
Yeah, I'm glad I retired.
Yeah, no, that's pretty chaotic. Okay, thank you for doing that. And in the future, let's do it together so that I know what you're up to, because I know that you are forced to be reckoned with when you start talking to people. But unless if they come up with something more, we'll figure out another way to print it.
Mhm.
But at the moment, I just didn't want us having nothing.
Right.
We're going ahead with what we had last year, but if you've got new stuff, because originally Lauren told me that they would do an art project and that she would give me some stuff. And then when I realized what was happening over there, I thought she's never going to do that this year. So I just let it go. But if you get surprised, tell me. Okay, thank you. Okay, here's the last thing. This is a long-term project and
So
I
just before we move on, I have 2 things actually. The first is that I did look at the calendar and we don't have to get Juneteenth on this council meeting because there is one on June 12th. And that is
Oh,
right before Juneteenth. So we can, if there is a reason that we want to wait and be able to actually discuss it at the next meeting, we can do that too. The possible issue is that we might not have a quorum. So that's where we could be kind of like this, but there's enough to revise here where we might want to actually really take the time to really revisit it and do it justice before the next council meeting. Those are the,
but if we don't have a quorum, then we're not able to submit this.
then we need a special meeting for a
Yeah.
time where people could be here.
Which gets very complicated.
Right. So those are our 2 options. I mean, let's see, the next meeting that we have,
I don't think there's that much difference that we're doing, right?
you know what, never mind. Yeah, our next meeting would have been the 14th anyway.
Yeah, it would have been too, let's
Never
just, let's stick with
Yeah.
you and me doing it together. We'll do the best we can. If it's not perfect, next year we'll make it better.
And then the other thing that I was supposed to bring up during Pride Month, I don't know if everyone has seen our Celebrate Pride posters.
No, I have not seen. it.
I will email this to you. I have it I'll forward it to you from Katie. But it is, let's see, 8 p.m. On June 9th. No, 7 p.m. I'm sorry. June 9th. And she wants to know if we want to have a table. She
Oh,
will
right.
provide us some food to give out to people or snacks or whatnot, and we can kind of just talk and be in the community. It's downtown stores, so if we want to be there, we're welcome to it. We just have to commit to her.
GSA kids will be there, and she has also promised that if HRC wants a table, they will put us side by side so we can be there to support the GSA high school kids.
I am not enthusiastic about being at a table at that event. That's my personal thing. I can't really be out very much at night. Is there anybody who would like to do this?
I would do it, but I'm having my spine fused next week, and they said it would be a month before I'd be able to drive.
What are you doing next week?
Back surgery.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
No,
I
you,
wish you a speedy recovery. Good luck.
thanks.
yeah.
When is the event again? June,
June 9th, at 7 p.m. it looks like. She didn't give me a setup time, but I'm gonna guess probably around 6-ish.
right, Jane, if you want someone there, I don't have a problem with doing that.
Well, let's hear, do people think we ought to be there?
If it makes it easier for people too, and I will be there with the GSA. So if you wanted me to dedicate, and if it's okay with Katie to dedicate, just to have some things out about the HRC, if we could put together, or just even I don't know if we have a pamphlet already, or if we have just a flyer, I'd be happy to do that and have it at the table.
We have copies of the whole International Declaration of Human Rights from the UN. It's a little booklet. We do have a couple of flyers, and we even have stands to put them on, so I can give those to you. I mean, maybe that would be wonderful if you'd be willing to do that. And then Janine, if you'd be willing to be there for a little while, that'd be great. And I'll just make a note to myself to get you those flyers, Amy.
Where is this event?
So what was that?
Where is the event at?
Downtown stores in Betsy Patterson Square.
Okay. Oh, and just in the square itself.
Mhm.
Is there a rain or shine kind of thing, or?
I think so. I think it is it.
I think it's the only night that they have this evening planned, and I don't know what happens, to be honest with you, if it rains, if they're going to have people out or not. But I know I was there last year with some of the GSA kids, and it was a fun night. It was just a fun.
It is. I think it's a party for the high school kids, I think, and the middle school kids. Okay, Amy, thank you. Janine and Amy talk to each other. Janine, I'd love for you to go at least for a little while just to see what's going on. I'll give you the flyers, I'll give you the stands, and I'll give you a couple of the booklets, and then you'll have them. And if anybody wants to talk about human rights, we can do that. We're not in this town talking about the fact that people are killing gay people and trans people and everything. And if that isn't a human right, I don't know what is, but it's not happening here, so we're not getting all worked up about it. But this is a very dangerous time for a lot of people in that situation. So they ought to know about us anyhow. Okay, I will get you the information, Amy. Thank you very much. Okay, I got one more thing. I've been wanting to do community conversations for a very long time, and I have not been able to get them off the ground, mostly because I have not had anybody else who was as enthusiastic as I was. But we now have 3 possible conversations we can do next year. One is the one about equity and what do people revisioning District 19 or expanding that a little bit so that we have that whole thing to talk about. The other day I was at the farmer's market, and I met a woman named Carolyn Stearns, who was a storyteller. And I said, Carolyn, what can you do for the Human Rights Commission? And she said, I do multicultural storytelling. And I said, well, that would be a nice non-threatening thing for us to do to get people to start talking about cultural differences. And she told me how much she costs, and she's only $300 an hour. And I think I could probably squeeze maybe $500 out of the town council. And we could do it at the library sometime in the fall and have it like I'll have to talk to Vicky because it would be an adult child storytelling thing. And Carolyn would tell a couple of stories about a couple of other parts of the world. And then we would sit there and people could tell stories about their families. And that seemed to me like a very unthreatening way to have a community conversation about cultural differences. Who are you? Where'd you come from? Et cetera. So I would like that to be our second thing. If Amy's thing about equity is the first one, I'd like to put that one in as the second thing. But I'm not going to do this stuff unless somebody else is going to say, yeah, Jane, I'm going to work with you because I cannot do all this by myself. I don't think it's good. The library people are great and they'll tell us when to do it. They'll help us advertise it. And I think it won't be very hard, but I want at least 1 or 2 other people to say, yeah, I'll work with you on that. So Janine, are you willing? You okay? And you're good because you know all about kids. And Barbara, you're the other person I have.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this, Jane. I'm going to be out of town till October 13th, but then I'll be back.
All right. Well, we'll do it in the 3rd week in October. And are you how long are you going to be out of town that you come back on October 13th?
Oh, we're leaving on August 21st.
Okay. So, I mean, I think setting it up is going to be relatively easy. Doing the publicity is going to be relatively easy. So I'll let you know, Janine and I will work on it, and we'll, because I think this would be a wonderful way. I've seen this woman work and she's great and she gets people to talk to each other, and that's the whole idea. So
Jane, this would be the one with Carolyn Stearns would be geared towards children and families, right? Am I right?
What kind of families?
Children
Yeah,
and
children and
families, right?
families.
So a Saturday morning might be a good time to do that.
That's exactly what I thought, but I have to
Okay.
double check with the library because they know about these things and they know who shows up when.
Yeah.
But the library people are just wonderful. So I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead with that if that's okay with you. And I'm going to have to figure out some way to get some money out of the town council, but I've been able to, we still have some money in our budget from this year, so we may be able to hang on to it. And then the third thing is a panel on getting to know our religious, getting to know the different faith traditions in Mansfield. And for that, I need a Christian minister, a rabbi, and a Muslim person who's very well informed, or an imam. And Barbara, you're in charge of finding me somebody who's a Muslim or directing us to somebody who's a Muslim, because that is a group I have no connections with at all.
Okay, I can help with that. We just, once we have a rough idea of when we're going to do it.
Yeah, I would say early November.
Okay.
And we'll do it as the way we will promote it is we are now coming up on many religious celebrations. And we want people to know a little bit about the various religions that are represented in Mansfield. And I think we'll pitch it that way, unless you got some better idea. But I'm stymied when it comes to finding some Muslim person who is willing to talk in public. So I need somebody. And if you have connections, that would be great.
I do. I know somebody.
Good.
Jane, this will also be good because with the new school calendar that the DEI put together and it was approved by the Board of Ed, that would be great.
Could we get it on that calendar, do you think, for next year? Oh, no, but just because people are now more aware than they were.
Right, it's more interactive, like they have their own, you have your school calendar, but then they have all the other holidays, whether we have it off or not is a totally different story. But it's allowing the parents to go in and seeing like, why is this day off, or why is this area shaded? So if we had that talk, that would be great, because they're trying to be more and more inclusive with the different religions and being respectful of them.
That's wonderful. Clearly it's time for me to go talk to Peter Dart again, who was very much fun to talk to. So I will do that and I'll bring that up. Okay, so if we've now got enough for the fall, if we do these 3 community conversations, we will be moving along. And then as a result of the first conversation, we will find out more stuff that we need to talk about that people are concerned about. And we will be starting to have public conversations with people about what human rights issues are in this town. And then I feel like we have kind of staked out our place in the community and what we're doing, and people will know we're here. So that's kind of exciting. Okay. Anything else anybody would like to talk about? Derek, it's very nice to have you. I appreciate seeing you again. So don't be a stranger.
All right.
Hi. Okay. Anybody else got anything you would like to say before we adjourn? Janine.
Just real quick, both Ravina and I are members of NAACP. And it was a couple of weekends ago, we went to for the youth council for the NAACP, and they met their quota and now they are an official chapter, which was awesome to hear. And we saw the induction ceremony of the different, the young ones, the president, the second, vice president, the vice president, so on and so forth. So it was interesting in how they are really, really tied because of all of the issues that have happened with Pomfret and all of that. It was just an amazing thing to get to see that and to be involved with that as well, and making connections as well. And with the, I think they're also trying to do something for Juneteenth, if I'm not mistaken, in the Willimantic Windham area. And then there was a couple of weekends ago, or maybe I've already told you guys, it was a weekend for like child protection all the different resources in that community to make sure that children are safe. So they had like the police department, they had mental health counseling, they had NAACP, they had all different type of things there. And then it was like getting the kids out, promoting being with your kids, work with your kids, you know, be with, you know, it was just a fun thing. So we were there as well. And we brought games, we brought everything, and it was just fun to see the interaction between kids. And, you know, a lot of the kids were Spanish speaking that come up. I had no clue, but you don't need to speak another language to play a game of bocce ball. So I was teaching kids how to play bocce ball, you know, and not really, you know, I've since then started taking Duolingo. I remember telling Amy about that. But it was just amazing. Like, again, with human rights, it's a human right to be safe, you know, with kids, and you don't need another language to do that. You just get in there and you just start doing stuff. So, you know, it may seem like I'm not doing anything, but I'm doing little bits and pieces. And you said about the community conversations. I looked up something online about conversations in your living room. And it's mainly for like the community. So I'm trying to do some research about that. So I could
I
be a
have
little bit more.
participated in that one.
Have you? It looked like a
Oh,
program, and I was just like,
it's a
that
very
looks
good
kind of
program.
interesting.
It's a very
So-
good program, and I don't know why I didn't go any further with it, but that is a very good program. So bring that back to us.
Okay,
Because what they do is they get a bunch of people together and a topic, and they give you a structured way to have the conversation. So
yeah,
it's not just informing you about a bunch of people who have different religions or telling stories. It's like being willing to talk about something that you really care about in a very structured way with
Mhm.
people who are very different from you. It's a very good program. So
Okay.
let us know what you find out, because I would be very happy. I even have a lot of their what do you call them? Scripts.
okay,
And that's the kind of thing that I can run, no problem. So I'd love to do that. And I think the more of these group meetings we have, the more people are going to be willing to come out. So let's look at that. Anything else anybody would like to say? You are very good on bits and pieces, Janine. That's your style. You're good at it. Anybody else? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn, please? Felicia, it is appropriate. Oh, you can't make a motion because you're not a member, huh?
I can do it.
No, you already did a bunch. Esme, would you please make a motion to adjourn since this is your last meeting?
I do. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second, anybody? Barbara, you can, Janine
I'll
can.
second it then.
Okay. Thank you very much, folks. I will see you next month.
All righty.
Thank you all so
Take
much.
care. Good luck at Smith.